Hey, welcome again to Short Takes. I'm the editor-in-chief of the Alabama Take who produces the show. My name's Blaine Duncan. Today, my guest is a riot. He's a stand-up comedian, and I bet he's familiar to a lot of our viewers. I love his work and his online videos and his writing. You should all go see his upcoming shows. He's about to hit the road once more. In particular, he's got a show coming at Stand Up Live in Huntsville. Some of our viewers in that same area. That's on Wednesday, June 16th, just a few days away if you watch this on release date. He and the guys from the Well-Read Universe and Tour are also performing in Birmingham next month. That's going to be July, Friday the 23rd, Saturday the 24th. He's the Mark Twain on acid, is what I've heard. I've heard him described as such. Here he is, people. He's Drew Morgan. How you doing, man? What you got to say for yourself this day?
Oh, man, good. Thank you so much for that wonderful introduction. A writer, rest in peace, Mike. He's passed. In Knoxville, called me Mark Twain on acid like year 3 or 4 of my career. And sometimes I'm like, yeah, that went to my head, but what a compliment.
Oh, man, I like it. I think it fits well.
Cool.
You've been pretty busy, though, lately. Now that things are easing out of the pandemic, a day at a time, you recently started a leg of one little tour you did, and you started it with Lee Baines III and the Glorifiers, Mike Cooley, and your friend and fellow comedian DJ Lewis at the Alabama Strikefest for the miners in Alabama. How have those shows been? And maybe you can even talk to me about that show if you want.
It's been great. Being down there was wild. I hesitate to use the word humbling because I usually think when people say that they sound full of crap, but that's kind of how I felt being down there, surrounded by, first of all, heroes of mine in the music world, and then second of all, people who are really trying to do something major. Because anytime someone goes on strike, it's a huge deal in their own life, and it can be a huge deal in the society and culture at large. And I think what they got going on in Alabama right now is both. From what's going on with what went on with Amazon to the work my buddy Warren Tidwell's doing, trying to keep major prisons out. I can't remember the name of that company. Yes, I can. Civic Corps trying to. Anyway, all that's happening in Alabama, and I'm down there in the middle of it. But what's so great about a show like that too is you got all those things going on, and you're trying to wrap your head around them, and there's all these kind of arguments. I mean, there were literal arguments going on before the show and all that about the best way to get things done and all that. But for me, I got to entertain working class people with what I do, and in the process raise money for them for their food bank so that they could eat and pay their bills while they're on strike. Man, it don't get more cut and dry than that. You ain't got to have no arguments with anybody. I got to get up there, tell my jokes, and then, at the end of the day, kind of go home and realize, damn, man, me and Lee Baines and Mike Cooley and DJ Lewis and Wes Van Horn, an Alabama boy he hosted for us, we just got to do something cool. I felt great about it. And it was really rad. And it was cool to meet the workers and men who reminded me of my dad with big calloused hands. And then like these little, for lack of a better word, hipstery reporters from the North with their tattoos all over them, who's there doing good work too. It was really cool. I really enjoyed it, and we had fun. My buddy DJ jumped out the car barefoot as soon as we got there, too excited because he'd taken his boots off on the ride, landed in a damn anthill, had to be barefoot the rest of the day because his feet swelled up. And he got out there on that stage, and the stage was an old horse trailer, and they had changed the boards out at some point in the past because, those boards rot, but the metal never does. And they had put in cross ties. And it had that. My dad called it creosote. I don't know if I'm saying it right. It's some kind of chemical. My man got chemical burns on his feet. It was a good time. You guys should have been there.
Right. Kind of a rough start of the tour for DJ, anyway. But sounds good overall.
He was loving it. It's been a good tour. DJ and I have a side podcast from Well-Read. I consider it my podcast. Into the Biscuit. We've been touring. We've been doing some mutual aid type stuff. We've been doing art shares. Rural artists come out to our shows. If you're going to come, if you're around Huntsville, bring your art and show it to us. If you want to trade with us, we'll trade art with you. And it's been really cool to just kind of bring that rural flavor to that kind of thing. Rural comedy, rural art. It's so stereotyped. And I don't hate all those stereotypes. Some of the things, Hee Haw was one of my favorite shows.
Yes.
But we are very excited to do something new. DJ's wild looking. He's got purple hair and tattoos, but he talks like this. We're very excited to do that kind of new thing, and it's fun. It's been fun, man. The Nashville show was magic.
Yeah, DJ's hilarious, and his Twitter feed's also hilarious too. So we got the Huntsville show coming up, Stand Up Live. That's very soon, Wednesday, June 16th, and the Stardom shows, Birmingham, July 23rd and 24th. Our Alabama folks, which makes up a lot of our viewership, should snatch up those tickets before they disappear. You're going to be road dogging it most of June and July?
June, I've got only one weekend really planned. I'm going to hit Huntsville, Asheville, Knoxville. Knoxville show is going to be great with DJ. And then I'm going to do a show at a strip club in Nashville because I think it'll be fun. Somebody asked me to do it, and I was like, yeah, sure. It's going to be the worst thing ever, which will be funny, or the best thing ever, which will be hilarious. So I'm good with that. But anyway, and then in July, Well Red's in Atlanta, July 10th. DJ and I are working on a mutual aid show in Kentucky, July 17th, for some folks that are raising money up there. And then you just mentioned the Birmingham shows with Well Red.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, this sounds fantastic. Not only, but you mentioned this. Viewers can find you online on Twitter, and seek you out on Instagram as well. But you and DJ Lewis, you mentioned the podcast you do, Into the Biscuit. What's the impetus of that one?
Well, first of all, I'm Drew Morg Comedy on all those platforms you mentioned. Into the Biscuit started as, we called it Southern Gothic Comedy. Sort of imagining it in the vein of Southern Gothic comedy podcast. Like, we are big fans of Cormac McCarthy. We're big fans of Faulkner. We're big fans of Eudora Welty. Our literature in the South is always steeped in heavy themes and, frankly, brilliance. And then the comedy that we're known for is steeped in goofiness. Now, I don't mind goofiness, but that ain't me. So we said, let's make a very Southern but like kind of darker comedy thing. We started off talking about mental health. We went real deep, for example, on suicide. Trigger warning on that episode. Over time, it's developed into more of a mutual aid type thing. And what we mean by that is we tried to avoid politics for so long, and then we just felt like we couldn't. We both have people we love kind of join QAnon. We had to get into that because we're obsessed with cults anyway. And so lately it's become... This is a very kind of bleak, but also at the same time hopeful Southern viewpoint where we're like, look, ain't nobody coming to help. We got to help ourselves. Let's gather up your people, call your people, I'll call my people. Let's do this. And that's how we got with Warren Tidwell, who does mutual aid stuff in the South. We've met a lot of rad people. And Lee Baines is sort of kind of the focal or center point of that whole network.
Mm-hmm. Man, dude, you and I have a lot of interest. Just when you were rattling off that stuff, every bit of that scratched some itches I have.
Yeah, it's pretty rad. And I don't want anyone to listen to think it's as good as Cormac McCarthy. We definitely have short stories about a possum named Charles, whose brother is an astronaut. There's a lot of wild shit too,
That part I knew, and I also recently watched one with oh my gosh, I'm forgetting her name. It was
Auntie Bernice,
DJ.
Tanya.
Yes. Is she with the Trillbillies?
So I don't want to speak on it if I don't understand it. My understanding is the Trillbillies are officially Terrence and Tom, and Auntie Bernice is also sometimes, but not always, because sometimes the Trap God guy who's newish. Look, I don't know. They're like a rap crew to me. They're like, you know what I mean? Just like, that's her label.
Yeah. Boy, as soon as I heard her voice, though, I perked up. I thought, I know that voice.
Well, I want to be clear. She might be one of the Trillbillies. I don't want to upset her. I just don't know. That's where I first heard her, but she ain't been on there as much lately.
And I found that on YouTube, so you also have those on YouTube as well. So
I put some of them up on YouTube. I'll probably put them all up soon. I'm so bad at social media, Blaine.
Hey, you and me both. I'd like watching them, though, just seeing you guys sort of talk. That was a lot of fun. Well, you ready for your 4 questions, man?
Oh, sure. Let's do this. Let's go.
Yeah, let's dive in. I'll put links and stuff in our YouTube notes for all that stuff we just talked about, and there'll be things on the screen. So anybody watching has already seen some links and stuff. So make sure to keep up with Drew. He's awesome. All right, let's dive into our 4 questions. Here they come. The first one is, what is it that you love? What made you such a Donald Trump fan? I'm kidding. That is not your first question.
I think he has good hair.
Yeah, I've always
Honestly,
complimented him.
He's funny. That's, if I can be just serious,
really
I know
is.
you're joking. He's the funniest fucking president. He was the funniest leader I know of all time. He's not funny because he's the leader. I know why they kicked him off Twitter, and I know, but I miss him sometimes. He straight up called Joe Biden the R word recently. That's hilarious. Not because the R word's hilarious, but because he's the president, and he's saying that about the new president. That's insane.
It is. It is. There is no decorum to this gentleman.
Right.
But yeah, we'll get to the real questions. I wanted to fuck with you a bit. All right, so let's talk first though. First question: what kind of advantages do you think growing up in a small town? You're from Sunbright, Tennessee.
Yes, I am.
Very small.
Super.
And there's some bigger towns around there. It's not too horrible. You don't have to drive hours and hours. But what do you think that people don't get if they're not from a super small town?
They don't get to be valedictorian, even though they ain't that smart. That's probably one of them.
Were you valedictorian?
Yeah,
Tell
I
me
was.
you were. Awesome. Yes. Yeah.
I think culture. Which is funny because people think of rural places not having any culture, but the thing that's great is they have different culture. And the thing that's extra great is with the internet and television. If you grow up in a rural area right now, you get to consume mainstream culture. You get to know what hip hop in the Bronx was like in the 90s because there's a documentary about it. But you get all that while getting still your hometown culture from your grandparents. At least I did. I don't know if it's different for my nephews or for my future kids, but I got that. I got to learn about rap and nu metal and artists and all this other stuff from TV and then the internet, but I also got to go to ramp festivals, learn about gardening, learn about canning, quilting, all those things. And I can't say, I'm not trying to pretend like as a 10-year-old I was like, oh my god, quilting, but knowing about it now means a fucking lot to me. I don't know if I can cuss, I'm sorry.
You certainly can, man. Hey, you ever shell any peas?
I've shelled a few peas, yeah.
Yeah, I can still shell peas. That's about it.
I hope I can. I hope I forgot.
I'm going to cheat on number 1 a little. I'm going to get a bonus question on 1. So who's the funniest person you know that's not a comic?
His name is Beaver, and I used to work with him building concrete water tanks, and working class, laborers, manual labor type peoples, and a few kitchens I've been in, always have the funniest people. Usually they could never get on stage and copy it, or if they could, the context wouldn't be there and it would probably sound a little rough. But Beaver was so fucking funny. He would make our boss so goddamn mad and come this close to getting fired every single day. But he would pretend to be dumb for no... Butch, what you mean screwdriver? I ain't got no vodka out here. Bring you a screwdriver. You can't drink on the job. And I know that sounds like a goofy joke, but when you see how mad Butch would get every time, and we called him Beaver because he had big teeth, and then right before Butch was about to blow his top, he'd just go, I'm just kidding, Butch. Murder me every time. And then I got to mention, so you said these questions previously. I was also thinking about how funny, I'm going to mention 3 musicians. Yeah. Jason Isbell, Alabama's own. Jason Isbell. Florence, Alabama. Lydia Lovelace and Hayes Carl.
Yes.
We've had Hayes and Lydia on the podcast. Come on, Jason. Hilarious. It's intimidating how funny they are. Lydia Lovelace is the second funniest podcast guest Well-Red's ever had, I think. Not counting the people who are always on. Not counting DJ and our friend Carmen, who's always on. Yeah, George Wallace.
Yes.
The comedian, not the governor.
Right. I love George Wallace, the comedian.
He's number 1. Lydia was number 2.
Wow. What was her style, or because I've never seen a lot of interviews with her. So what's her brand of humor?
Dark, self-hating, mean.
Yeah.
She's you see this tiny little cherub in a coonskin cap talking about how, I don't fucking know, man. It's like anything to keep from thinking about suicide. What was the question?
I like that too, man. All right. So speaking of comedy, we'll keep it on the comedy level. Question 2 is, what's the strangest thing you've seen on tour, out on the road with your comedy?
So I answered this question in my mind as like, while doing comedy or at the club. And I think
that's good.
I think it's a tie. I was doing a show in Maryville, Tennessee years ago at a place called the Thirsty Turtle. It was a biker bar. There was about 30 people there, and I would say 28 of them didn't know and did not want a comedy show. Excuse me. So we were doing our show, and I was like 4th or 5th. It was going, I would say somewhere between horribly and terribly in general for everyone. I think Trey was there, if I'm not mistaken. This woman comes out of the bathroom, and she starts walking towards the stage. She's very drunk, and her pants are undone. Like she forgot to button them. There's like shorts. She's probably 50 years old. Biker chick. She's walking towards me, and she's saying something. I can't yet hear her. She gets close to this. I'm like, what are you saying? She walks right up to the stage and says, don't you say that word. Don't you take the Lord's name in vain. You said God damn. As she's saying this, her pants are starting to drift towards the ground, and I now can see her panties. And I do a thing usually with hecklers. It's like an old move where I just make them repeat themselves for 2 reasons. 1, it gives me time to think of a response. And 2, I need to make sure the crowd knows what's going on. So I'm like, what? What? She's just... And she's like, you said God damn. And I said, well, ma'am, you did too, but your pussy's hanging out. So I think God likes me better right now. And her man walked up to the stage, and I thought, I am going to get broken in half. And he just, like, picked her up and put her on his shoulder and just, like, walked her outside. And hopefully he did not hit her, but, like, that was wild. That whole thing was wild. I saw, like, the top of her bush. Like, that was... And then if you can imagine it, it's about to get grosser.
Oh, yeah, bring it.
Not Mooney. Meany?
Kevin Meaney?
Is that his name?
That's a guy, for sure.
That's a guy
that I've heard of.
Comedian, yeah, it was Meany.
Yeah.
Kevin Meany, actor, comedian. He was at Side Splitters in Knoxville. I was opening for him one year, and he had a show. Like, he put on a show. The end of it was a musical number where he sang about it looked like Broadway. There were flashing lights. He would sing about JFK and do all this wild stuff. He's about to get to that joke, and this dude says something. And he's not like me going to have that back and forth with the lady. So he just kind of shames the guy. The guy gets up and kind of falls, and he's like, see, that's why you don't interrupt during a comedy show. God smote you down, or whatever he said, People were like, ha, 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 and the guy just kind of stands up and starts walking to the bathroom. Well, the guy gets to the wall of the comedy club beside the stage, and Kevin can't really see him anymore because of the way those lights work. He's blinded anywhere that's not right in front of him. Most of the crowd can. And what the crowd realizes, but Kevin Meany on stage doesn't, is that this man has shit his pants. And not only has he shit his pants, when he fell in some of it, and now is quite literally stumbling down the wall, streaking the wall up. He's far enough away from any people that no one's like, screaming or whatever. A few people are seeing it. A few people see Kevin. The music starts. So the craziest thing I think I've ever seen in comedy is Kevin Meany doing a full-on song and dance number, singing about JFK to the tune of 80 songs. I mean, he needed to change his act, frankly, but it was fucking great. Like, he's got this medley of pop songs you've heard of, but he's changed the lyrics. He's up there doing it as a very, very drunk redneck stumbles and streaks shit down the wall of the club. Like, and I've got it in HD right in front of me, just coming in stereo. I've got Kevin Meany putting his heart and soul into it while that happened. And I honestly was like, well, this is stand-up. This is comedy.
Was it in smell-o-vision as well?
It got pretty bad. That was the last bit. That was probably 3 minutes long, and then people were clearing out, and it got rough. And I had got to be the one to tell Kevin what had happened.
Wow. Well, we've all shit ourselves and rubbed it against a wall.
At a comedy club in front of my family. Yeah. And a fucking wonderful actor who's, gay. And my point with that is, like, he's pouring his heart out. He's trying to be this very cool guy. And then you got this fucking dude who got 3 free tickets and ain't been out in months. Anyway, it was pretty great.
Yeah. We talked about the president for a second. If you were president for 3 minutes, maybe 3 minutes tops, you could sign two or three quick bills. Boom, boom, boom. Sign them, and then you're done. What you got for us?
I'm getting rid of Citizen United and all the things along with it. I'm making it illegal to have money in politics. There's a cap on it, and there's no super PACs. Corporations are not humans. They don't have a fucking right to engage in politics. I'm getting rid of that immediately. Number 2, I'm putting a cap on the amount of money you can make. We can do $1 billion. We can look at it. We can get an economist in there, but there's a cap, and you win. We'll give you something. We'll put you on fucking TV, you psychopath. You fucking psychopath. We'll let you come on TV, and we'll make a big thing about it, and you can own a judge or whatever it is you're after in your life. But there's a cap. After that, the rest of the money you make comes back to us, and that way you could do something else with your life as a billionaire. Like, Bezos got divorced, and now he's like, I want to go to space. We could trick all of them into doing dumb shit like that if we make it to where they can't make any more money. And then related to that, the third one is you can't transition from being either a billionaire or even 100 millionaire into nonprofit. The nonprofit game in the world is so corrupt. So that's the 3 things I would do. And then the 4th thing, I know you told me 3, but I'm the fucking president and I still got time. Abolish the death penalty, overhaul the criminal justice system. There's no more private prisons, and we go to a Nordic model.
And
everybody gets tacos, just because, I'm a man of the people. Like, we get free tacos once a month too.
I'm in, man. Where do I vote? Sign me up. I have talked privately amongst friends and said that the billionaires shouldn't exist. Just should not exist.
Right.
God, I love that. I have said that to my friends, that there should be a cap on how much you should make. Boom. You said it better than I, but that's perfect.
they would like it. They'd have a goal. I got there quicker. They could still brag because they're psychos. I got there quicker. Maybe they'd go to another country and try to start over.
Yep. Dude. And you know what? All that revenue solves some of the other big problems that you didn't have time to sign off on in our hypothetical. You could use that money to help with climate change. You could use that money to help with, police issues and all those things. Yeah, it's good stuff.
We're not fixing climate change, Blaine. That's why I didn't even start. It's over, buddy. We're getting cooked.
What the fuck am I doing here? This interview's over. We're done. Let's lighten it up. We've got our dumb saying amongst our people on our website, which is things are done up real good. Ask Caleb Johnson about this one. He helped come up with this a little bit. So it's things are done up real good, more or less what's making us happy. So what's done up real good for you lately?
Man, what's done up real good for me is just my wife and my dog hanging out. I've been on the road for a few weeks. I'm back. It's been great. She has really, I guess, blossomed during quarantine. She started doing a garden. She's helping me be a better person. And the other thing that's done up real good is just hanging out with DJ. Y'all got to follow DJ Lewis. He's Gutter Bumpkin on all the social medias. He's got a baby goat, a pygmy goat named Nessie, and him and Nessie party all the time, and they watch documentaries together. And that dude, he's an amazing man, an amazing comedian, and a shitty roommate. And I have been on the road with him for 3 weeks, and it's just been treating me horribly in the best way. I'm exhausted all the time. He's so funny. The other day, he went to get his socks out of his bag, and he had one sock and one glove, and that was it. That's what he had packed for socks, and he didn't know it. He didn't want me to know. He's like, I'm like, what are you doing? He's like, nothing. I was like, show me what's going on. And he pulled them out. He's like, look at my socks. And one was a child's glove. Him and his wife don't even have children.
That's a good DJ story, man.
They're all like that.
I bet he's funny. I've got to meet him. I really want to meet him. He's funny.
Well,
Online he's funny, and I imagine in person too. But
it's not.
I love that
close.
poster of you two, side by side,
in front of the diner, the fire
Yeah.
beside us. Mm-hmm.
That's a good poster.
I should probably have done more with that.
You guys look tough. I was going to say something more about DJ. Oh, the goat, dude! I want to kiss that little goat.
Hell yeah, you do. That's Nessie. Eventually, we're going to take her on the road with us, but she got to get off the bottle first.
I understand. Maybe next time you come around, I can see DJ and Nessie. Well, I'll see DJ anyway, but Nessie will be with you.
You coming to Huntsville?
Well, yeah.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For our viewers, let's all meet up at Huntsville Wednesday, and I recommend you snatch up those tickets as well as the July tickets with Will Red in Birmingham. He's also playing elsewhere in the Southeast. Hey, if you're in New York, follow Drew. Get him up there. You know, I'm not saying we only have viewers in Alabama. Let's see. I think that's it, man. To everyone online, we're going to see you next week. Drew, thanks, man. Thanks for your time.
Thank you for having me,
It was
Blaine.
a pleasure.
Yeah.
Dude, it was a pleasure. Real happy to talk to you. And for our viewers, see you next Friday. Will went walking and was blown away. Found his finger by my mama's grave.